The world is huge, but somehow we've turned it into a global conveyor belt, moving bananas, iPhones, and toilet paper across oceans like it's nothing. But have you noticed ships all follow the same watery highways? None of them ever take the northern shortcut. Why? Polar bears? Titanic PTSD? The truth is somewhere in between. Imagine cutting the distance between London and Shanghai by a third. Sounds good, right? Welcome to the Northeast Passage, or as Russia calls it, the Northern Sea Route. Obviously, it renamed the part it owns. Russia's slice runs between the Kara and Bering Straits, an icy stretch of ocean so bleak it makes Siberia look like a vacation ad. Before you make your next Amazon order expecting it to cruise through here, read the fine print. Sky-high insurance premiums? Just the tip of the iceberg. And yes, that's still a problem. Ice, storms, and engines that hate the cold. Ships crawl, metal snaps, and captains age 10 years on a voyage. Not exactly prime delivery territory. So why risk it? The route's a centuries-old temptation. Like every dad on a cross-country drive, the myth of a perfect shortcut is too hard to resist. It's dragged explorers north for generations, and left more than a few frozen souvenirs behind. Europeans hit the Cape of Good Hope in 1488, a breakthrough for trade, a nightmare for anyone who hated sea travel. It opened a direct route to India, China, and the Spice Islands, skipping the overpriced Silk Road middlemen. But the route itself? Brutal. They called it the Cape of Storms for a reason. Monster waves, screaming winds, voyages so long, sailors practically retired mid-trip. For centuries after, explorers hunted for something better, a shortcut through the frozen north. Most didn't find it. Most didn't come back. The map said, "Here be dragons." The Arctic added, "Bring a coat." No one cracked the Northwest Passage, not until 1903. That's when Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen decided he had a death wish. It took him 3 brutal years. Most people can't commit to a gym membership that long. The ice was thick, the route was worse, and the Arctic didn't exactly roll out a welcome mat. That's when Russia saw its opening. With more Arctic experience and frostbite than anyone, it turned east towards the Northeast Passage. Early voyages proved it could be done, just. By the late 1500s, explorers were pushing farther north, mapping new ground and freezing their names into history. But optimism didn't last long. Like the Northwest Passage, this route is pure misery. A gauntlet of ice, storms, and regret. Russia, meanwhile, had its eye on something bigger, Siberia. So it pulled back, shut the door, and kept the snow globe to itself. A preview of things to come. By the 1600s, Russia had gone full possessive toddler over its Arctic frontier. Paranoid about rivals in Siberia, it slammed the door on foreign explorers. But someone still had to chart the place. Enter the Cossacks. Tough, stubborn, and probably regretting their life choices. The route was technically possible, just also miserable. Skip ahead a couple of centuries. 1878. Finnish explorer and part-time Russian intern Adolf Erik Nordenskjöld finally made it through on the Vega expedition. It was the first full crossing of the Northeast Passage. Not exactly smooth sailing though. His ship froze solid for almost a year, like that burrito stuck at the back of my freezer. When the Vega finally broke free and hit open water, it didn't need to swing around Africa anymore. The shortcut was real, and the suffering. But there was competition. Just 20 years earlier, the Suez Canal had opened to global fanfare. The canal was a cheat code for global trade. No need to hack through ice packs. No need to gamble your hull or your life on the trip around Africa. Let's talk numbers. You're hauling oil or gas from the Persian Gulf to Northern Europe. Brave choice. And hey, I'm not judging. I make videos for the internet. But if you're the captain and you pick the Cape of Good Hope route, your crew is gonna have opinions. The polite ones will wait till you're off the bridge. The rest, you'll hear them. That route, over 13,000 miles around Africa, complete with storms, pirates, and a whole lot of heat. It's the ocean's greatest hits. Modern ships can muscle through it in about 24 days. Back in Nordenskjöld's time, try months of boredom and slowly realizing the ocean hates you. But if the ship went through the Suez Canal, take off 5,500 miles and a full 10 days. That's the difference between a voyage and a vacation. The Vega's crew pulled off a huge feat of navigation at the wrong time. A few decades earlier, they'd be heroes. By the late 1800s, participation trophy winners. Their icy shortcut was already obsolete. The Suez Canal had changed the rules. Why fight ice when you could cruise through Egypt and work on your tan? And then it got worse. In 1914, a new canal entered the scene, this time in Panama. Before it, ships had to brave something even nastier than the Cape of Good Hope, South America's revenge arc, Cape Horn. There's an old saying from the Age of Sail: below 40 degrees south, there is no law. Below 50, there's no God. Cape Horn, 55 degrees south, smack in the middle of furious 50s. The winds don't blow here, they attack. Cape Horn averages 51 miles an hour and 25 feet on a good day. A bad one? Take your chances with a kraken or something. But ships don't need to face it anymore. The Panama Canal cut the New York-Los Angeles route from 14,000 miles to 5,700 miles. Geography officially hacked. But progress came with a body count. Thousands of workers died digging the canals while investors cashed in. Thousands of workers were killed. Today, 15% of global trade moves through the Suez, another 5 to 6% through Panama, and 40% of all US containers rely on them. Two man-made ditches holding the world economy hostage. But Russia never stopped staring north. The Northeast Passage wasn't dead, it was just cryogenically frozen. The canals didn't kill the dream, they just hit pause. And don't know if you've noticed, but Moscow's not great at letting things go. As good as the Suez is, a working Arctic route would change everything. Shorter routes, cheaper fuel, more control. It's like finding a new cheat code for the planet. Except it's covered in ice and occasionally tries to kill you. Think about this. A voyage from Murmansk, Russia to Yokohama, Japan, normally around 14,800 miles, and that's with the Suez Canal. With the Arctic route, 6,600 miles, a 44.9% discount, courtesy of Mother Nature's sketchiest neighborhood. And it gets better, or worse. Depends on your sense of adventure. The Japan-Europe route around Russia, 10 days. The Suez, 22. The Cape, 29. The Northeast Passage even comes with a green stamp. Fewer miles, less fuel, less pollution. Ships spend less time choking the planet. Eco-friendly capitalism, the best kind. But the Northern Sea route isn't a magic shortcut. Go too far south and it stops being worth it. A trip to Shanghai, you'd only save 2 days compared to the Suez. Singapore, no time saved at all. The ice doesn't care about your shipping schedule. But skipping the Suez isn't just about saving time at sea, it's about having options, especially when everyone else is stuck in line. In 2021, the Ever Given pulled off the world's worst parallel parking job. Strong winds shoved the ship sideways in the Suez Canal. And since it was a big boy, it blocked the whole canal. Traffic jam, but if it was, as you know, on water. For 6 days, global trade hit pause. Hundreds of ships stuck waiting. Some had to go full retro and sail around the Cape of Good Hope like it was 1699. By the time it got free and the captain updated his LinkedIn page, the damage was done. The cost to the global economy, $400 million every hour. Somewhere, an accountant cried. Then came 2023. Another ship ran aground in the Suez. Didn't block the channel this time, but it still took 3 tugboats to yank it free. And the hits just kept coming. By the end of 2023, the Suez had a new problem. Too few ships. No one wanted to risk becoming a floating fireball. Houthis in Yemen decided to turn the Red Sea into a personal shooting gallery with drones and anti-ship missiles. You know, fun stuff. And in case you forgot geography, that's the same Red Sea the Suez Canal feeds into. Suddenly, ships were asking, is that blip on the radar getting closer? And that's one question you really don't want the answer to be yes. Plus, there were always the background risks. This stretch of water has history, the messy kind. Remember the war here in 1956? Or the unrest in Egypt between 2011 and 2014? The Suez Canals had more turbulence than a budget airline. So putting all your eggs in this basket, Russia says that's not smart. Betting on this region to stay calm forever is, well, optimistic. Speaking of optimism, if you like the map deep dives, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've already mapped out your guilt trip, if you don't. So what about the Panama Canal? Well, that place has its own troubles. The US Navy still flexes enough muscle to keep things stable, sure, but even they can't exactly shoot at the weather. Drought doesn't care about aircraft carriers. By early 2024, daily transits dropped from 36 to 18. Half. Bigger ships? Gone. They've started rerouting through the Suez Canal or around the Cape of Good Hope. Not Cape Horn, though. That's where God keeps his wind machine set to kill everyone. Transit time's up, freight fares up, your patience at Target down. So next time you're staring at a $7 box of cereal, thank the weather in Panama. It's little wonder Putin's hyping Arctic routes as the future of trade. Just look down from NASA's Earth Observatory. Since 1992, satellites have been quietly tracking our planet's slow attempt to become one giant puddle. Sea levels have risen about 0.15 inches. Tiny, right? Well, not really. That extra seawater? It's from melting ice. Greenland alone is 280 gigatons of ice each year. Greenland's thaw might one day open the Northwest Passage. But for now, the real winner's Russia. Its Northeast Passage is opening first, something Putin's definitely circled on his calendar, probably right next to shirtless photo op. Siberia's warming up, fast. The Northeast Passage melts earlier every year. Meanwhile, the Northwest Passage, the shipping seasons dropped from 27 weeks to just 13. Warmer temps, less access. Make it make sense. The problem is ancient. Literally. Old slabs of sea ice are drifting south, plugging key choke points like the McClure Strait and Viscount Melville Sound. Traffic jams made of glaciers. It's enough to make LA traffic look relaxing. So, while the West is stuck spinning its propellers in the ice, Russia's lanes are thawing first. Congrats, Vladimir, you're the Arctic's latest winner, by default. And now, time for a reality check. Despite the rising temperatures, the Arctic still isn't what anyone would call open water. Even in summer, the Northeast Passage stays choked with ice. Sheets of it, miles of it. The kind of stuff that laughs at propellers and eats hulls for breakfast. Just look at it on NASA's map. There were 1.69 million square miles of ice in the Arctic at the 2024 summer minimum. That's the 6th lowest on record, which sounds bad because it is. And if you squint at NASA's 2024 map, you'll spot the Northwest Passage still choked with ice, meaning the Northeast is looking only slightly less homicidal. But there's still plenty up north, even at its lowest point. The so-called summer minimum doesn't look like open water. It's an icy nightmare. Frozen over, cracked, and just waiting to turn your boat into Titanic Mark II. So ships going through here need escorts, and Russia's got that covered. Icebreakers, lots of them, 57 to be exact. The runner-up? Canada with 18. Cute. In fact, Russia's got more than every NATO country combined. The alliance is starting to realize this might actually be a problem. But wait, there's more. You've heard of nuclear-powered submarines and aircraft carriers, but nuclear-powered icebreakers? Oh, those are real. Russia's got 8 of them. Ships that can stay at sea for months, taking on the ice like it owes it money. They keep trade moving from Europe to Asia non-stop. No refueling, no breaks, just raw ambition, with a mild case of radiation. Well, maybe. First problem, these ships will cost you more than front-row Super Bowl seats. Almost. America's Polar-class ships ran about $850 million each in 2013. A decade later, $1.7 billion per ship. Almost destroyer money for something that moves slower than your grandma merging into traffic. And that's just to build them. Once they're in service, add $100 million a year, each, through 2063. Expensive boats that mostly exist to punch frozen water in the face. That's the kind of money I'm talking about here. If you think inflation's bad now, just wait till your Amazon delivery needs a $1 billion escort to make it through the ice. Imagine explaining that shipping fee at checkout. And even with icebreakers, it's not exactly easy. Remember the Vega? Yeah, history's got a habit of repeating itself. Shifting ice, sudden freeze-ups, one bad turn, and your ship's practically cryogenically frozen. The maritime version of Walt Disney. The Arctic is sort of like the Tinder of the world's oceans. Shallow, unpredictable, and full of red flags. The deepest point, 18,000 feet. The average depth is around 3,200 feet, and some spots, even shallower. Where exactly, nobody really knows. The seabeds up here haven't been mapped all that well. It's a blind date with geography. And we haven't even gotten to the real reason to think twice about using the Northeast Passage. What happens if there's an accident? Yeah, that's a problem. Once you sail east of Murmansk and Arkhangelsk, good luck finding help. It's just you, the ice, and probably a very confused narwhal. For Beijing, the current Suez route is an even bigger headache than it is for Moscow, because all of China's trade funnels through one extra choke point, the Strait of Malacca. It's the world's narrowest anxiety attack, at least for China. Block the Strait of Malacca and you endanger 25% of world trade and 80% of China's oil imports. It's the Malacca dilemma. Beijing's fever dream that one narrow strait could choke an entire superpower. Imagine running a global empire and realizing your Achilles heel is a strip of water smaller than Florida's coastline. So, China looked north. In 2018, it unveiled the Polar Silk Road, a trade corridor through the Arctic. Less sun, more freedom. Working with Russia, Beijing went full power couple, oil deals, infrastructure, and a little light empire building on the side. And to be fair, it looked smart. The Arctic was heating up, literally, and traffic was rising fast. In 2013, ships in the Arctic Ocean logged 6.1 million miles. By 2023, that number had more than doubled to 12.9 million. The future was coming, slowly, covered in ice, but coming. In 2010, just 10 ships braved the Northern Sea Route, all flying Russian flags, a sad conga line through the ice. A year later, traffic jumped to 41, and most weren't Russian at all. By 2021, 85 ships decided that it looked like fun. Only a dozen still waved Moscow's colors. And where the trade goes, money follows. Chinese money, specifically. The China National Petroleum Corporation and the Silk Road Fund snapped up big stakes in Russia's Arctic LNG projects at Yamal and Gidan. Putin called it proof the Silk Road had reached the north. Of course he did. With trade heating up and China hungry for safer sea lanes, it finally looked like the Northeast Passage was waking up. Well, slowly defrosting, at least. But that's not quite true. Those headline-grabbing LNG projects, China's running them on half power, and by 2022, traffic on the Northern Sea Route had crashed to 43 ships. 36 were Russian. Not exactly the global highway Moscow had in mind. That's because in February of 2022, Vladimir Putin launched his so-called special military operation in Ukraine. It blindsided everyone, including Xi Jinping. Maybe he thought they were friends. Then he's hit with a cheap shot below the table. And just like that, a new kind of ice started forming. Not in the Arctic, in the economy. Russia was frozen out of the global system. The 7 other Arctic Council members announced they were done with Moscow. Did that shock Putin? Probably not. He'd been expecting a cold shoulder. But here's where things really iced over. You liking the ice puns? No? Okay, I'll move on. Putin was collecting sanctions like trading cards. Then came November of 2023. The US aimed its sanctions cannon straight at Russia. In the crosshairs, the $20 billion LNG project on the Gidan Peninsula. Overnight, it flatlined. So China played both sides, as always. When the ice cracks, you want a lifeboat nearby. Beijing pulled out in June of 2024. 2 months later, a flotilla slipped north. No press, no pause, just an invisibility cloak. Chinese ships pushed Arctic traffic to a record 37.9 million tons, only 1.6 million more than 2023. That's more of a rounding error, but at least record sounds impressive in a headline. And it still fell miles short of Putin's grand target, 80 million tons. Not even halfway there. the Arctic superhighway is looking more like a frozen dirt road. Despite all the talk and some of the money, the infrastructure hasn't exactly sprung up out of the ice. No major ports, no refueling hubs, no rescue bases, nothing you'd actually call a system. If a ship winds up like the Vega, it's on its own, surrounded by ice and regret. And that's not changing anytime soon. You can't sneak build ports. Infrastructure leaves footprints, and for China, that means risking Western sanctions. Then what? Sell electric cars to Russia? Good luck. As much as China loses sleep over the Malacca dilemma, Western sanctions would be way worse. Betting everything on the Northern Sea Route right now is like asking a first grader to solve Stephen Hawking's math homework. Ambitious, adorable, and totally doomed. China wrapped up 2024 with a record trade surplus, nearly $1 trillion. Xi Jinping wants to shrink it and shift toward a consumer-driven economy. It's a smart move. If more Chinese buy Chinese, the party can breathe easier. There's less fear of sanctions, more room to quietly plant flags along the Northern Sea Route. But there's an issue. Beijing's middle class isn't exactly ready to bankroll a frozen shipping experiment, not while Putin's still playing soldiers in Ukraine. And even when the war cools, control of the Northeast Passage stays right where it is, in Moscow's hands, which is reason enough for global shipping to steer clear. Because if the Arctic ever does open up, the first thing you'll see isn't opportunity. It's a Russian toll booth. The Arctic is melting. Fast. So fast it could be ice-free by 2050. First time in 150,000 years. Back then, Neanderthals were still walking around. There's been ice in the Arctic since before prehistoric Banksies were tagging cave walls. But when scientists say ice-free, what they really mean is less ice for a bit, just in summer. The rest of the year, still frozen, still brutal, still the world's worst cruise destination, unless you're a penguin. So even as climate change does its worst, those Arctic routes won't be totally open. Not for long, anyway. And those icebreakers, they don't pay for themselves. Someone's got to cover the tab. In Canada, ships pay nearly $2,700 per transit. In the Nordic countries, it's free, which of course means taxpayers get the honor. About $7,600 per operation. Russia, that's a different story. It slaps on a premium to normal port fees for any ship needing icebreaker help. That's before you even touch the extra costs for using its ports and Arctic infrastructure. Add it all up, and the math's simple. Expensive ships, expensive seas, expensive way of saving time. All of this makes the Northern Sea Route a geopolitical minefield. Until Russia starts acting legally, I know, most global shippers will give it a wide berth. Sure, it saves time if you ignore the high fees, sanction roulette, and the very real chance your cargo ends up mysteriously detained. And with Putin locked in until at least 2036, don't expect that uncertainty to thaw anytime soon. Even without ice, insurance premiums would be brutal. Add ice and it's a logistical nightmare. And the danger doesn't stop there. The Arctic's turning into the next front in the global power struggle. The region's swimming in rare earth elements, and both Russia and China want the biggest slice. Between 2022 and 2024, they held 27 joint military exercises in the Arctic, 16 at sea, and in September of 2024, their bombers even flew near Alaska, enough to make NORAD spill its coffee. Now, Russia says those drills will happen every year. Good luck finding an insurer for that route. Even with all the hype, only a few dozen ships actually make the trip through the Northern Sea Route every year. Compare that to the Suez Canal, 50 ships a day, hundreds waiting their turn. It's less global highway and more frozen driveway. Sure, the Suez has its moments. The Ever Given managed to sideways park itself into history, but nobody died. And sure, there's the Houthis in Yemen, the self-appointed traffic cops of the Red Sea. In September of 2025, a Dutch-flagged ship went up in flames after a Houthi missile strike. 2 crew members were injured, the rest evacuated. But if you're a nervous captain weighing your options and maybe trying to avoid your wife's "you did what?" phone call, there's still one comfort. Down south, you've got protection. US military, satellites, destroyers, fighter jets, the whole gang. Up north, it's just you, the cold, and whatever's moving under the ice that isn't on your radar. Probably fine. So the northern sea route might shave some time off your trip, but add in the insurance premiums, the icebreaker fees, and the total lack of infrastructure, and suddenly those six-figure Suez tolls don't seem so bad. And at least there, the pirates don't come with nukes. Having a few destroyers on speed dial helps too. So yeah, the Arctic is melting, faster than your ice cream on the 4th of July. But that doesn't make it friendly. It's still cold, still unpredictable, and still the world's worst shortcut. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. Really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MapPack.